Hello everyone and welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. This is part 8 of my layout updates. Um, it's really one large update, but I've been doing it in parts because I haven't done an update at all in a year and a half or two since I started the layout. So I needed to include everything into one very long video, and since YouTube only gives you 15-minute blocks for free, I had to split it into that. So I'm going to go right to it because there's a lot to talk about in this section, and I can't give you the review of what we did in the past videos. So I'm just going to go right to it. The last video, part 7, was the mountain. So we're getting past the mountain, and now we go into this section here, which is my lumber facility. And the one thing I want to say about this is that besides the fact that it was my first facility that I worked on ever when I started the layout, is that I don't know what these things are supposed to really be like or how they really function, but I did my best to kind of, just to make it have a feel of what might happen at a lumber facility. But originally this was not supposed to be surrounded by water, and it was not supposed to be elevated like this. It was supposed to be down at the water level, and this was just going to be dirt, and the train was going to go up and over, but this is supposed to be like a valley kind of thing. But I started messing around with it, and I kind of liked this concept. Plus I saw this triple bridge kind of thing in satellite picture in, I think, North Carolina, where a lot of NS runs, and I love this, so I figured this would be the great opportunity, the best opportunity to include that. So there should be a creek that comes in, and what I just kind of imagined was that this is where like the lumber would float in, the logs from the trees would float in, and then in the old days they would bring them up to the whatever, the mill or whatever that would be. But it doesn't have to be that. So I detailed it just to look like a little pond, creek, whatever you call it, and I think it came out really nice. Besides the fact that it's kind of dusty, I thought it came out nice. Here's my train coming through now. I have a local train waiting there to pick up the wood chips right here. So let me just go back a little bit and explain how I set this whole thing up. So basically, what I wanted were two elements, and that was the lumber house, which I had from a previous layout. So I wanted to include that. It came out nice. So that's that, and then the office for the whole facility, which is right there. And then the other part of it was the wood chip loader, which is this here, and I scratch built that. And the only thing that's not completely scratch built is some of the railings and some of the platforms that are actually HO scale, Tichi, I don't know how you pronounce that, Tichi parts. And this guy is not throwing up. He just fell over, but he was supposed to be looking over the banister, and he fell over, and now he smashed his head against the railing there, so I apologize for that. But so the concept here, and I know that this is not realistic. Like, I know that, why is there a smokestack here? There's no reason for a smokestack, but I like the way it looks, so I just left it there. And there's no reason for that tall building there, but I like the way it looked, so I left it there. That might change later, but for now, I just, I wanted to make it look very dense and very, like, active there, so I added those. And what I imagine is, like, as the lumber comes in, the logs and stuff, and they cut them down to what would be like a 2x4 or whatever lumber they're making. The wood chips from the mill would come up on the conveyor belt and be stored in this holder, in this loader, and then you would have a loading track for the empty cars that are coming in right here, and then you would have a turnout, and then you could store the loaded cars like you see here on this track, and just have it waiting for the local train that's coming in to pick them up. And then the other part was this track here, which is supposed to be for the actual lumber. So you have your, you could have flat cars, you could have center beam cars like that. And this could act as either a switcher track, like a locomotive track, just to get it out of the way, or it could be a loading. You know, you put a flat car there, and there's lumber and stuff here. Like you see this guy leaning on the lumber here. It could be loaded onto the flat car. I haven't gotten a chance to put more lumber here, but that's basically the main concept. I detailed the inside of the building pretty well. I mean, I made some lumber parts, and you know, there's a flat car in there waiting to be loaded, and it looks pretty cool. I even have lights inside. I just can't really see them right now, but they're up there. There they are. Sorry about the sideways video, but I thought that came out really nice, and it looks really nice in the dark as well. Let me see if I can do that quick. You can see that came out kind of neat. The point of this is that you know, that I just have some kind of operation options here. And the other part that I added was that I wanted some kind of runaround track here, as you can see, because I figured that if there's a switcher, which he's waiting right here, this is kind of like a holding track, a switcher trying to get more cars into the loader, you could just pull the cars through, hold them right here, let's say 4 or 5 cars or whatever, and then run around and then shove them back into this holding track back here, which doesn't really hold 4, it only holds like about 3 cars there. But at least it was just another option to do that. I might just turn this into like a separate facility, something else, but I ran out of space because there's a cliff and there's water. So who knows how I'm gonna use that. Right now it's just a holding track for the locomotive to do any kind of switching. But that's basically that. Now let me get to what I was really trying to get to. Oh wait, I forgot to show you this. The inside of this office is detailed. And there's the manager right there, and there's his friend hanging out with him, and there's the front desk man, and some guy trying to make a deal. It's probably not good. It's no smoking sign. I made that soda machine out of like it's actually a traffic sign with arrows, but it looked to me like buttons and stuff, so I just made it like that. The only problem is that this wall, I guess, was too tight in there and it warped. So, oops. So that's why the sticker's a little messed up like that, but it looks kind of cool. And I will have lights in there eventually, so that it looks nice at night. But I just added like crates and, you know, garbage dumpster there, and, you know, just little details like that kind of add to the whole scene. It's supposed to be here. All right, so let me tell you what I'm really excited about with this as the train comes through again. The coolest part about this facility is that I wanted to figure out a way to control all these turnouts without having to stick my hand in there and start picking at them, or turning those little, you know, caboose flipper things in order to work the facility. So I wanted a panel with some kind of remote control thing, and I love using servos to control turnouts because you can control them slowly, and it makes it look more realistic. But I did not want a panel sticking out in the middle of this little path here. Say hi to my dog. And you know, so that people will be bumping into it and whatever. So what I did is I created a panel where it's hidden basically. It's and only when you need it do you need to bring it out. So by hitting this switch here, it brings the panel out. And I thought that was really neat the way that works. Sorry about the dust, but basically what you're left with here is a map of that whole facility. So, you know, you have your main lead-in. This is like the receiving and departing track. This is your branch for the lumber house and where the office is, the little track here. Sorry about the glare. And then this is your crossovers for the runaround track. And obviously over there would be the 2 loading tracks. But, you know, this is really nice because now all I got to do is turn the power on. And I made a switch there because I don't like to leave servos running. The only problem I'm having right now is that you see the servo going crazy here. The problem is that it's not getting enough power because the wires that I used to bring power to this are very thin, and apparently it's not producing enough juice for all of these to run. It's only 5 volts, whatever. So sometimes it stops by itself, but I have already checked. I just got to change the wires and I'm going to make something a little bit thicker. But anyways, as you turn these, what happens is you can control them exactly how fast you want it. So I can go real slow with them, or I can go fast if I want, But I will be enlarging these a little bit so I don't look like I'm pinching at them, but they'll be a little taller and they'll be a little bit wider so I can just turn them easily. And the nice thing about servos and the controllers that I'm using, which are basically just testers, is that you have multiple outputs or input, I guess outputs. So you can control 2 or 3 at a time. So I have both this servo and this servo on the same controller, and now I can do the turnouts, or rather the crossovers, with just one knob. As you can see, they're both switching. So what I want to show you is basically how I would do a mini operation here. I don't have a lot of time to show you, so I'm going to try to go quick. Let me just get my controller here. And basically this would be the local train that's coming in. And, let's just pretend like it's a, like it would be pulling up. The one mistake I made here, which I also made with my paint facility, is that I didn't leave enough trackage in the back of the train to brake the train and sorry about that, and leave enough space here to leave the train here and just uncouple here to pick up and then recouple like the real trains do. So all that means is that either I have to put things in the back of the train, or I have some trackage here to leave a few cars behind. And while I do that, the only problem is that I need to develop a braking system because this is on a slope, so the cars just want to go flying backwards. So now what I would do is I would switch that turnout there. So that's this guy here, and that allows me access. I already have these turnouts lined up, but it's going to go basically to pick up the wood chip cars that are already there. So here comes the train now. I'm going to do this a little faster than I normally would because I'm running out of time. Let's see what happens now. It looks like it might have worked. So let's see. Yep. So that would be it. The train would pull the cars out. Again, I'm going to go faster than normal because I'm just trying to demonstrate what this is supposed to work, how this is supposed to work. And then once you're out, obviously you would have to switch the turnout here to clear the main line again, and then you're done basically. So you turn off the power for the servos and you hit that down. And the nice thing is that this has an automatic stop on it, so even if you leave it like that, it's not going to burn out the motor or anything. Once it reaches the flat part, it just stops. So theoretically, this is on, off, on. And the nice thing is that you can stop it at any point if you want. So I love the way that came out. And basically what's propelling it is an actuator right there. It's a 4-inch, I think. Yeah, it's a 4-inch actuator. And it pulls out the the control panel, which is rolling on just basic like I think they're drawer slides. You mount drawers here, so you can see them right there. Sorry, right here. They slide in and out, and these are like heavy duty ones. They're nice, so they don't get sticky or anything like that. And that's basically it. So this piston is basically, pushing in and pulling the whole drawer along with it to do that. So that's basically part 8. An overview of the whole thing and how it connects to the rest of the layout. And we'll be talking about this area in part 9. We'll see you then.